So I just got the document that has the top 50 LLM questions being asked in interviews right now. This leaked document is something that we all need to get our hands on and understand from front cover to the back. It's 2026. If you don't already know these topics, you're not going to do well in any of your interviews, whether it's product management or software engineering. All these interviews are now AI adjacent, so not only are you using AI, but they're always going to be asking you about how AI works and how you would implement it in their systems. So I can email you guys a document, but let's go over at least 5 questions so that we can better understand this and to bridge the gap and to expand our skills, say, within the current industry trends. So the first topic you absolutely must know is tokenization. So the interviewer is going to ask you, what does that really mean? So when you're talking about a prompt, say, explain artificial intelligence. Tokenization means that you're breaking this down into smaller bits. So you have one word, explain, that can be broken down into 2 separate entities, so X and then plane. And so all these different segments of your full prompt or sentence gets broken down. And so these are small tokens. And then what happens is these tokens are then converted, and then it's usually converted into numbers, and the model processes this number to predict what comes next. That's how the artificial intelligence process works. So you are still using machine learning models, things like that, and inferencing. The AI is basically inferencing what is the next word or text that's going to follow in the sentence for it to make sense. And that's kind of the overall process of tokenization. And the thing that you need to worry about when you're implementing AI is tokenization can get expensive if you're inputting very large prompts, right? So if you have at least 2-3 paragraphs that you're entering as just a prompt, that's going to be more tokens that are being used, and tokens can be costly. So that's one of the use cases and I guess worries about implementing AI. Then another thing is if you have bad prompts that you're entering into your AI, that's wasted tokens. That's wasted money right there as well. That could be another use case that can be covered during interviews. How to improve bad prompts, how to simplify prompts, how to use less tokenization, how to improve the efficiency. So that's a really great topic to learn more about. So another key thing to know with tokenization is the performance aspect. So if let's say your model takes in 1,000 tokens, that includes usually your input and output. So what question you're asking and what you want out in return. So if you want a 45-page essay returned out, the model might not be able to handle all of that, and sometimes it can lose the context of the earlier tokens because it's not built to optimize within just like 8,000 tokens, and you need more if you want to output like a 45-page essay. So this is called the context window. The ability for your AI model to handle all the context within the window would give you the most optimal answer back. Without fitting into this window, you would have a lot more discrepancies with your output that's being generated with AI because it's not able to fully process the whole chunk of information that you're giving it. Then the next thing that we should really focus on is the context window. And this is like what I had mentioned before, which is like memory limit of your AI. And so if you have 8,000 tokens, it can only remember 8,000 tokens at the same time. So this includes input and output. So if you want it to print out a 45-page essay, that might hit and exceed the 8,000 tokens, which would mean that the remaining tokens that were being used after it hits the limit, they might not have the same memory in the session that it had used previously, so it might not give you the best answer possible. This leads to the AI basically forgetting the information that happened earlier in the session that could be referred to now. And there are a lot of different use cases for maybe caching some information while you're working in the AI agent that can help resolve this issue. This is why a lot of long chats break because it's not able to retain that information as well as it needs to. So another topic that's kind of related to this is RAG, and it's going to help with the memory limit because it's like an external database that the LLM can go and query, but not query the whole database at the same time. It'll just take like small chunks that it would need for the prompt to answer. And so this would help save on the memory tokens. The next topic is temperature, and that's very important for AI models depending on your use case. So temperature is on a scale from 0 to 1. On the lower end is like 0.2. It means very safe and predictable answers that are repeatable through the same question for different users. On the higher end, like 0.7, 0.8, that gives you more of a creative answer. So it varies from user to user. And this is very useful for topics like storytelling, content creation, things like that, where you do want to have a variety of answers that are generated to help you in that scenario. But for other cases, you want a very distinct answer for all of your users across the board, you would want to have a lower temperature. And I've been asked this question before during my AI interviews, so note this one down. And the next question is, what is fine-tuning and how do you use that? And this is very important because when you're working on implementing AI, you want a more customized solution. You don't want a generic answer that you can get from chatgpt. That would be the whole purpose of building a separate product. So models have billions of parameters, and so parameters are just like internal configuration variables learned by an AI model from training data. So trying to fine-tune is using some of those parameters and adjusting them slightly to behave a bit differently, and this would be according to the proprietary data that you would have the AI train on, so you can get more specific information back. AI models are generally trained on overall data from the internet, so that's very open data, right? So it's not very niche, not very specific to whatever domain you want to introduce it into. So fine-tuning would help you make the AI model way faster and more specific and have better outputs for the domain that you want to implement it into. So knowing all of these, I would highly recommend for you to check out the full document linked below so you can help train yourself and maybe your friends as well, and make sure that you're in a good place with your career, especially in 2026. And if you want to follow along with more information, I like to research AI by myself, maybe even try to implement it. I also look at other things like how the tech market is doing overall. If you want to learn about anything else, please stay tuned and follow for more information. Thank you.